Welcome back, ladies and joims. Welcome back to Unpopular Opinion with Schaafy and Pals. It's a solo flight today, just me, the microphone, and some truths that aren't sitting right in my gut. As you can see, we have some new digs we're really excited about, but I'm not going to get into that today. I'm going to wait until my co-host Jenny G is back, and then we're going to tell you all about what we did here. But like I said, there's some things that are sitting in my gut, so I wanted to take a little solo mission with you. It's just going to be Schaafy. So I wanted to take some time and tell you some things that are going on in the world that are not looking good, not looking good at all. And I wanted to give you a quick introduction for those of you who don't know much about me or why I'm here. I want to tell you a little bit of a background. I'm a 45-year-old middle class registered voter, registered gun owner, veteran of the Washington Army National Guard, and most importantly, I'm a father. I'm a hashtag girl dad. I work 2 jobs to provide for my family and hopefully myself. I exercise on a regular basis because I like to eat cake on a regular basis also. Crowning achievement as I am a recovered alcoholic, and I do this podcast as a way to have fun and as a hobby. I find it a very healthy hobby as it allows me to read more, research topics, and discuss them with pals. And I'm so humbled by this, a listener base that is now stretched in certain places around the world. Holy cow. That applause is for you, the listeners. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. But before we get into the heavy lifting today, you know it's going to be a crazy episode because it's entitled Opinion versus Morality. And you know that anytime I do one of these in this series, it gets pretty crazy. So I just want to give a quick disclaimer. This podcast is a work of comedy fiction. The views expressed by me are for entertainment and do not represent the views of my employers. They're just the thoughts of a guy trying to make sense of a world that feels like it's losing its mind. Without further ado, let's hit that catchy theme song and get this party started.
Unpopular Opinion, that's the name of the show. Hosted by Schaafy and some pals that he knows. We'll have a heart-to-heart, so tune in and subscribe. It's Unpopular Opinion and a hell of a vibe. Love it or dislike it, it's all just the same. Because Unpopular Opinion is there in the name.
Okay, man, it's been a while since we've heard that. I appreciate everybody's patience. Clearly, there's been a lot going on at the Schaafy Studios, and we want to make sure that we're going to, bring the best product that we can. Yes, I am wearing a Ricky Watters jersey, a throwback jersey. I don't know if you remember Ricky Watters. He was a big star for the San Francisco 49ers, but then he came and he played 3 seasons in Seattle, and it was actually 3 extremely productive seasons. He ran for over 1,000 yards each season. I think he made a Pro Bowl, might maybe have made a Pro Bowl all 3 years. I can't remember. And yes, I am wearing a 1995 or 96 throwback Pro Line Seattle Seahawks hat. Why am I doing that? Well, today the Seattle Seahawks are playing for the NFC Championship against the Rams of Los Angeles. And it's going to be an incredible game. It's going to start here in a few hours. Shout out to Kyle. He loves the Rams. He's always been a Rams fan. Ever since we were little kids, I thought it was so cool that he was just, into his team. And it was a different team. But he grew up watching Jim Everett, I think was the quarterback. He was called Chris on that show, and he punched the guy. And Flipper Anderson. I remember these names. These are things from my childhood. But sports ball aside, we have some bigger issues to fry, and I'm not going to pull any punches today. The word Authoritarian sounds like something from a history book about a far off country. But I urge you to look around. My unpopular opinion this week is that we are living under an authoritarian government. It isn't a future threat. It's the current reality for people in my city and yours. It's the rule by whim instead of the rule of law. And it's happening while we're distracted by the 24-hour news cycle. There's a perception versus the reality. When most people hear the word authoritarian, they envision a cinematic overnight transformation, a dystopian imagery of tanks in the streets, black and white propaganda films, and a single dictator in a military uniform. We've been trained to look for the Reichstag fire moment where everything changes in a single Tuesday. But the historical reality of modern authoritarianism is often far more subtle and bureaucratic. It is a slow fade rather than a sudden explosion. In practice, it looks like the steady erosion of check and balance systems, a process scholars maintain and call executive aggrandizement. It's not a coup. It's 1,000 small cuts to the law. It's when the government begins to bypass the courts and local jurisdictions to enforce its will directly, cloaking these moves in language of safety, security, or efficiency. It's a shift from a government that derives its power from the consent of the governed to one that maintains power through the intimidation of the governed. While the public stays distracted by culture wars and social media, the referees, like the independent judges, inspectors, and local leaders, are quietly sidelined. By the time the average person realizes that the boundaries have been overstepped, the new rules have already been normalized. And I want to give you some historical examples of the slow fade. Pardon me. Oh, that's delicious. You know that Schaafy loves his coffee. Some historical, I know I'm trying to keep it as light as possible because this stuff is weighing really heavy on my heart, and I'm going to be honest, I'm fucking pissed. I'm really upset. And these examples I'm going to give you, I'm really using these as ammunition for my talking points to show that this isn't just a Minnesota thing. The stuff that's happening in Minnesota right now is atrocious. This is a global playbook, and it happened in Hungary. So the Orban method. So Prime Minister Viktor Orban, or Orban, I always mispronounce names. He didn't abolish elections. He just redrew the districts so his party couldn't lose and stacked the courts with loyalists so his policies couldn't be challenged. He also used legal means to dismantle the spirit of democracy. Does that sound familiar? Sounds like something they did in a bunch of different states to eliminate democratic voices. California had a vote on it. It was like Proposition 50, and their constituents actually voted and passed a law that said that, yes, you can redraw to maintain the proper power, but they actually did it with a voice of the people. That's kind of cool. Venezuela, so the Chavez shift. Hugo Chavez started as a popular outsider promising to fix a corrupt system. Over years, not days, he slowly closed independent TV stations and replaced judges with yes men, eventually making himself the only person who can legally hold power. Where else have we seen this? How about Russia? The Putin playbook. Vladimir Putin didn't start as a dictator for life. He began by using anti-corruption and tax laws to target business leaders who supported his rivals. So he's going after and targeting these business leaders who were helping and supporting the people that were opposed to him. Does it sound familiar? It does to me. So he used the legal system as a weapon until there was no one left to fight back. So this brings me, and that's just kind of ammunition to kind of back up what my talking points are going to be about. My first talking point is something that's happening right now. It's this Minneapolis crisis and Operation Metro Surge. So let's get into the granular details of why I'm saying this. Look at what's happening in Minneapolis right now under Operation Metro Surge. We have 3,000 federal agents. It's a mix of ICE, Border Patrol, and DHS, effectively occupying a major city. That's 5 agents for every 1 local cop. Are you fucking listening to what I'm saying? That's 5 agents for every 1 local cop. This federal footprint is so large that it actually dwarfs the 10 largest metro police departments in Minnesota combined. When local leaders like Governor Walz and Mayor Frey describe this situation as a siege or a federal invasion, they are looking at these exact numbers. It's the difference between a local police force that is, theoretically accountable to the city council and a federal army that answers only to Washington, D.C. This massive disparity is exactly what leads to the jurisdictional friction we discussed, where federal agents can effectively wall off a crime scene and prevent local investigators from doing their fucking jobs. And here's the thing, it's really hard to claim that you're partnering with a city when you show up with 5 times their manpower and none of their local oversight. Are you hearing what I'm saying? How can you say that you're there and you're claiming that you're partnering with the city and you showed up with 5 times their manpower and you have 0 local oversight? Let's get into it. We all know what happened on January 7th. Renee Good, an unarmed mother of 3, was shot and killed by an ICE agent while she was just trying to drive away. But the story got even darker yesterday when the killing of Alex Preddy. Alex was a 37-year-old ICU nurse for the VA. He spent his days caring for our veterans. He was a lawful gun owner and a concealed carry permit and a clean record. I think he had some parking tickets or something. DHS put out a statement saying he approached them with a handgun and they acted in self-defense. But Governor Walz came out and called that account nonsense, because it was. Multiple videos show Alex was trying to help a lady that was pushed to the ground by agents, then pepper sprayed multiple times and pinned to the ground by several federal agents that pepper sprayed him, holding nothing but his cell phone in his right hand. We all saw multiple angles. An agent disarmed him, and then 10 shots were fired in 5 seconds. 10 shots were fired in 5 seconds. An agent was seen clapping as Alex lay dead. Even more disturbing, it gets even more disturbing. Federal agents reportedly blocked the state's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension from the scene, even with a warrant. When federal power can kill a citizen and then tell the state's highest investigators to beat it, you are not in a democracy. You are in a police state. It's wild. It's fucking wild. I can't even get a refund for a non-refundable flight when the airline literally loses the plane, but the feds can just cancel a state's entire legal jurisdiction on a whim. WTF. Nuts. Second talking point. We need to talk about the duties of government, or of a government. The preamble of the Constitution, as you know, on Schaafy and Pals, Schaafy likes to reference the United States Constitution. So the preamble of the Constitution isn't just fancy talk. It's a contract. It says the government's job is to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and promote the general welfare. Justice is dead when agents operate with total immunity from local law. Domestic tranquility is impossible when thousands of masked agents are snatching people up in unmarked vans, creating a climate of extrajudicial terror in neighborhoods across the country. And promoting the general welfare, this administration has traded that in for enforcing executive will. We've seen the firing of referees. You know what I'm talking about, the career attorneys and inspectors general whose job it is to catch corruption. They have been replaced with loyalists. When a government stops being for the people and starts being over the people, they've breached the contract. The preamble is like the terms of service we all check agree to without reading, but the government just rewrote the fine print to say, we own the house and you're just a guest we can evict at any moment. My third talking point is going to get very deep. I've brought some of these subjects up before when we're talking about opinions versus morality. And here is the heart of the friction: immigration. If you sit down a Republican and a Democrat, they both actually want the same outcome. This is what blows my mind. When I speak to people on both sides of the fence, we all agree that we want the same outcome. We want a secure border and a system that isn't broken. We want immigration reform. The opinion isn't actually where we're stuck. We have the same opinion. We're stuck on the morality. And this is what bugs me when people have shitty morality. And this is what leads me to unfriend people and distance myself from people. Because if you're morally corrupt, I do not want you in my life. If you have a different opinion, I'm going to want to hear it. Opinions are great. I'm willing to listen to your opinion, but when you're, again, morally corrupt, that's where I draw the line. So we're stuck on morality. One side sees the moral path as absolute militarized enforcement at any cost, even if that cost is the life of a nurse in Minneapolis. The other side sees the moral path as protecting the due process that makes us American in the first place. We aren't arguing about if the roof is leaking. We're arguing about whether it's moral to throw the kids out into the rain while we fix it. When it comes to the numbers, there is this massive gap between the public perception and the actual data collected by the Department of Justice and independent researchers. The consensus from multiple peer-reviewed studies, so I'm actually talking about facts here, right? Including those from the Cato Institute, Stanford University, and the National Institute of Justice. So these are three different places that have done these peer-reviewed studies, and they show that undocumented immigrants commit violent crimes like murder and rape at significantly lower rates than native-born U.S. citizens. Significantly. The Texas laboratory data. So Texas is the only state that tracks criminal convictions specifically by immigration status, providing the most accurate, like real-world data set that we have. So over a 10-year period, and I was looking up these numbers, and it's from 2013 to 2022. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to get into some of the stats after that as well. But from 2013 to 2022, Texas has found that homicide conviction rate, undocumented immigrants were 26% less likely to be convicted of homicide than native-born Americans. Violent crime overall, undocumented immigrants are arrested at less than half the rate of U.S.-born citizens for violent offenses. Sexual assault and rape. The data follows the same trend, with offending rates for undocumented individuals consistently remaining below those of native-born population. When we look at the national picture and we go beyond Texas, national studies from 2024 and 2025 consistently reinforce these findings. There's an incarceration gap. Immigrants of all statuses are 60% less likely to be incarcerated than people born in the U.S. And they kind of rule this under the safety zone. Research suggests that undocumented immigrants are less likely to commit crimes because they face the constant threat of deportation. They have everything to lose, whereas a citizen doesn't face the risk of being exited for the same offense, or exiled, I should say, for the same offense. Crime trends. So between 2023 and 2024, as we all know, the immigration population grew significantly. It's all you hear people on the right and the far right talk about. Biden and open borders, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we agree. Now, here's the thing about that. The immigration population grew significantly, and yet the national violent crime rate actually fell by 10.3%. So what the fuck are you talking about? You contradict all of your own fucking theories. Oh, well, we need to get, I agree with you on something. We are talking about immigration reform. Absolutely, we need immigration reform. Absolutely, we have to get the criminals out. Absolutely, the ones that are actually committing it. But we need to fucking go after those ones and actually do our fucking jobs and not send 3,000 untrained, vigilantes hiding behind masks that are shooting citizens. Oh, and I should have included this on here. The number of people that don't have any fucking crimes that on their record that they are actually abducting and taking and detaining and etc. and arresting, it's like crazy. It's like 70 to 80% of them have zero crime history. So what they're doing is they're going around asking people, are you a citizen? Show me the papers. And if any kickback, they fucking take you. And why are they doing that? Are they walking up to white people and doing it? Fuck no. They're walking up to people of color. They're walking up to brown and black people and asking them if they're from here. And when they give any kickback, we've seen it. Look, I'm not making this up. I've seen thousands of videos online already of this happening. Thousands. It shouldn't happen at all. And yet we're seeing it. And we're also seeing citizens being killed. In the past year, look it up. How many citizens of the United States have been killed by ICE, DHS, or Border Patrol? The number will blow your mind. I'm talking about 2 of them right here. But if you actually look it up, you'll actually find that it's a lot more than that. How do I tie this in? This brings us back to that opinion versus morality split. The opinion or narrative being sold to the public is that undocumented immigrants are a major source of violent crime. But the morality of the situation is that we are using fear, unsupported by data, to justify authoritarian policies like Operation Metro Surge. When we ignore the facts to feed a narrative, we overstep the boundaries of justice. As we said and are going to talk about in our heart-to-heart segments, if we want a safe country, we have to base our laws on truth, not on the fear of our neighbors. Based upon the most recent data from the Pew Research Center and the Congressional Budget Office, as of early 2026, because we're in 2026, the estimated percentage of undocumented immigrants in the United States is approximately 4% of the total population. Here is the breakdown of the numbers to help you frame the scale of the issue. Approximately, the total population, approximately 349 million people in the United States. The undocumented population, estimated at roughly 14 million as of late 2025, early 2026. So that's where those numbers come. That accounts for about 4.1% of everyone living in the U.S. Now, there's a protections factor here. And it's very notable to add that 14 million, out of that 14 million, roughly 40% of them, or 6 million people, have some form of temporary protection from deportation, such as asylum seekers with pending cases of those with temporary protection status, TPS. So you're talking about 14 million people and you're saying they're all criminals because you're a fucking racist. And the number is actually, okay, well, guess what? 6 million of them are doing it the legal way. So your argument is unjust and you are a racist. You can go fuck. So why this matters, when people talk about the invasion or the need for authoritarian level enforcement that we're seeing in Minnesota, they often speak as if it's like half the country is undocumented. The perspective. We are fundamentally altering our constitutional protections and increasing federal military style presence by 500% in cities like Minneapolis to address a group that makes up only 4% of the population, and based upon the numbers I just gave you, realistically more like 2%. And here's the other thing. Remember, the amount of actual criminals in there, it's less than 1%. The side of the world, this authoritarian regime loves to go after, the 1% groups, the trans folks in the world, the marginalized, etc. It blows my mind. It's so crazy. It's so racist and bigoted. And if you're on that side, you need to wake up. I don't understand how you can live your life and be in this world, and you got to know. You have to know that you're a piece of shit. Like, you have to know it. But this is also, they're going after this group. And we know for a fact that they commit fewer crimes than the actual citizens that you're living alongside. The numbers don't lie. But the lock changing analogy, right? This is a perfect example of the slow fade. A government doesn't need a massive reason to overstep. It just needs a small, visible target to justify a massive increase in power. If they can suspend the domestic tranquility of a whole city for 4% of the population, who is really in charge? Take a breath. So I'm fired up. I'm passionate about this thing because I like to be a good person. And when I see people not being a good person, it's upsetting. It is. It truly is. Now, I like to do one of the things that a lot of those people can't do, and it's called regulation. And I feel like I'm a pretty regulated person. So reminding yourself to take a breath when you're upset. I read a story about two neighbors, and this is kind of an anecdote here. I read a story about two neighbors. One is a law and order guy. We all know him. I'm a law and order guy, which is so funny because they are the first ones to break the law. That's just unpopular opinion. So the other is a human rights activist. These two neighbors, law and order guy, human rights activist. We know the type, right? One left, one right. Okay. Last winter, a stray dog was freezing on the street. The activist wanted to bring it in immediately. The law and order guy wanted to call animal control because those are the rules. They both wanted the dog safe, but they almost got in a fist fight over the how. And that's our country. We all want the same house, but we're tearing down the walls because we can't agree on which hammer to use. It's okay for both sides to want safety, but it's not okay to lose our humanity in the process. Taking another breath and getting into a heart-to-heart segment, using empathy as resistance. This stuff is terrifying. But when we talk about authoritarianism, the goal isn't just to make you angry. It's to remind you of your power. The heart of the matter is that human life, it just has to matter more than policy. Respecting boundaries isn't just a personal thing. It's a civic duty. We have to demand that the government respects the boundaries of our Bill of Rights. But we also have to respect the humanity of our neighbors. If you're a Trump supporter, you can still be horrified by the killing of an innocent nurse. If you're a Democrat, you can still want a secure country. Love everyone. Be a neighbor first. If we let them make us hate each other, the authoritarianism has already won. Stay kind, because kindness is one thing a regime cannot regulate. When I was writing this episode, and I was researching these studies and thinking about who I am as a person, thinking about my family, thinking about my friends, thinking about the things that I have seen with my eyes, and not letting the government tell me what I see, actually thinking inward and outwardly, and not going based upon emotion, but literally seeing what I'm seeing, it was really tough. We all want to do so much. We want to get out and protest, and we want our voices to be heard, because as a people, we the people, our voice does matter. And it's really tough when we are being silenced and murdered for doing things that we have legal right to do. The right to peaceful protest, the right to bear arms, the right to due process. All of these things that are given to us are being taken away. And I just want to, before I hit that catchy theme song, and remember, stick around for the theme song, because we always have the People Are Talking segment. I want to reiterate that last line of my heart to heart. Use empathy as resistance. Stay kind, because kindness is the one thing a regime can't regulate.
Unpopular opinion, that's the name of the show. Hosted by Schaafy and some pals that he knows. We'll have a heart-to-heart, so tune in and subscribe. It's unpopular opinion and a hell of a vibe. Love it or dislike it, it's all just the same, because unpopular opinion is there in the name.
Before I head out, people are talking about people. Let's talk about what I'm seeing on the feeds, and I'll give a final wrap. People are talking about the death of democracy like it's a sudden event, but it's a slow fade. It happens when we start justifying overstepping because it's our guy doing it. The attraction to a strong man comes from fear. But as I said, fear is the enemy of kindness. Even if you feel an attraction to a policy that promises you safety at the cost of someone else's rights, remember that boundary. Don't overstep. A government that doesn't love its people isn't a government. It's a landlord. And it's time we reminded them that the people own the building. Love everyone. Watch out for each other. and don't let the noise drown out your heart. That's it for this week. Pretty crazy episode as these typically get. You can find us on Instagram at unpopopinion, Schaafy and Pals, and on X or Twitter, if you're nasty, at Schaafy Unpop. Don't forget, I also have the Gmail, and send us some emails. And I'm excited to hear from you all. I know that a lot of you guys reach out to me and tell me your opinions on my opinions. And for the majority of you, I definitely appreciate the level-headed morality, and the we share similar morality. So thank you so much. Be kind, stay unpopular, and we'll see you next time. Schaafy out.